It's another twist! It's a goal by Francesco Acerbi!
Now, if you aren't aware of his history, Francesco Acerbi's equalizer in the 93rd minute against Barcelona was interesting thanks only to the time of the goal and the novelty of it all. I mean, what's a 37-year-old center back even doing in that position, moonlighting as a striker? And I mean, moonlighting quite convincingly, to be fair. What a finish. Go a level deeper and you'd know that Acerbi had never scored a European goal before, and what a time to do it. But one more level below that, and his story, his alcoholism, his cancer battle, his highs and lows, adds even more to the goal that kept Inter alive and gave them another round in the fight, another chance to make the final. In a sad, kind of twisted way, according to Acerbi, both the challenges and heartbreak that he has been through already in his career not only saved his career, but propelled him to new levels. At 35, he made his first Champions League final. At 37, he's back and has a chance at redemption. These are the stories that you love to see, right? This is what we love about football, going through hardship and using that as fuel to achieve something that never seemed possible before at the club or team level, as well as the personal level. That's exactly what Francesco Acerbi has done.
And now, Italy win. They're European champions for only the second time.
For those who may not follow Serie A, Acerbi may just be a name you've heard of now and then in Inter's recent Champions League runs, or with Lazio previously, but you don't know him so well. So for those people, here's a quick speed run of Acerbi's career so far. So Francesco Acerbi really cemented himself in Serie A when he was with Sassuolo. But we'll go over in a bit how the 2013-14 season, his first with them, was heavily disrupted. Acerbi became a mainstay at Sassuolo, and despite many clubs often showing interest in him, he felt that he was indebted to the Squinzi family for all of the support that they had shown him over the years. However, in 2018, when Lazio came calling, with Simone Inzaghi as their coach, Acerbi had been with Sassuolo for 5 seasons at this point, and given he was 30 years old, they accepted the 12 million euros that was offered to them from Lazio only because Acerbi said that he would be willing to go to Lazio. I can only guess, but given he was 30, he didn't know if he would get another move to a big club in Italy. It turns out he would be wrong there. Lazio only managed to finish in 8th place in Serie A that season, but as we know now, Inzaghi has turned out to be a bit of a cup specialist, hasn't he? And he showed that with his Coppa Italia win. Acerbi played every single minute for Lazio as they defeated Novara, Inter, AC Milan, and Atalanta on their way to victory. Acerbi's time at Lazio saw him get more call-ups for the Italian national team, as well as getting to play in his first competitive match for Italy in 2019, a Euro 2020 qualifier. This good form would see Acerbi make the squad and feature in a few key matches for Italy during the Euro 2020, which, as we all know, Italy won. After this, he'd play one more season with Lazio, but under a new manager. He wouldn't adapt immediately and struggled under Maurizio Sarri at times. This caused Lazio fans to criticize him a bit, and Acerbi celebrating a goal against Genoa with a celebration, which angered the Bianco-Celesti supporters. He apologized for it, but given he had a strained relationship with Sarri to begin with, allegedly at least, as well as now with the fans, his time at Lazio was about to be up, especially after Lazio supporters saw him laugh after Milan got a stoppage time winner against Lazio. He says the laugh was more of a "can you believe it" kind of laugh, but given his reputation with the fans was already poisoned, it was time for him to go, with both parties wanting to end their relationship in the summer of 2022. And so at 34 years old, after looking so good at Sassuolo and then his first few seasons with Lazio, Acerbi's stock wasn't as high as it used to be. Still, however, he was being associated with some of the big clubs in Italy for a depth signing. For a while, it seemed like a return to AC Milan was on the cards. Yeah, we'll get to his AC Milan time in a bit, but that never came about. Instead, his former coach Simone Inzaghi wanted him at Inter to help them with their depth with his 3CB back line. There were also question marks at Inter surrounding Milan Skriniar and how he wouldn't renew with Inter Milan, so plans had to be put in place, and Acerbi was someone who knew Inzaghi's system already and had thrived in it. When you look at comments from supporters at the time, Acerbi wasn't seen as the sexiest option, and I can understand that, right? 34 years old, didn't have the greatest season under Sarri, and at the time it was hard to know if that was due to aging or simply not getting on with Sarri. It was unknown. But given Inter's financial difficulties and being unable to sell Milan Skriniar, whose contract was ending in 1 year, they couldn't bring in the funds to sign Gleison Bremer, the defender of the year. So Inzaghi brought up the idea of bringing in Acerbi on an initial loan with an option to make it permanent to get them through the season. He was expected to simply be a substitute, but with some injuries to De Vrij and Skriniar, as well as Skriniar's strange contract situation, Acerbi would eventually cement himself in Inter's back line and would become a first-choice center-back throughout the season, helping Inter to win the Supercoppa, the Coppa Italia, and make the Champions League final, where they would unfortunately fall to Manchester City. He made a name for himself as being ever reliable in his first couple of seasons, and while he clearly still is at this moment, you started to see some injuries creep into his game this season, as well as some murmurs as to whether he can still cut it at this level, which is fair, right? I mean, playing at the top level at 37 isn't for everyone. There were stretches when he was on the bench, and his minutes have been regulated a lot in order for him to avoid injury. But in Inter's biggest games, he's there. He's played nearly every minute of Inter's Champions League knockout round matches, and Interisi will be thanking the football gods for that, given the role he played in their dramatic win over FC Barcelona. Yes, his first European goal. No, he had no business being up there, and all the same, he had no business having that clean of a finish, something incredibly difficult to pull off, especially in a moment like that. But considering the late career surge in success, there was a time where his future in football was up in the air, following setback after setback.
E nelle cose difficili devi emergere il carattere, se non ce l'hai, dei problemi che avrai qua, li avrai stessi da un'altra parte.
While Sassuolo was where Acerbi cemented himself as a Serie A mainstay, it was actually at Chievo where he caught the attention of the rest of the league. Acerbi was late to Serie A, making his debut in the top flight with Chievo when he was already 24 years old in 2011. Even as of 1 year prior in 2010, he was playing in the fourth tier of Italian football, but Regina picked him up in the 2010-11 Serie B season, and in 2011-12, he joined Chievo in Serie A. However, it was also around this time when his father passed away. Speaking of this, Acerbi said, quote, "I played for my dad. He cared a lot, maybe too much, and by investing so much in me, maybe he ended up doing harm even though his intentions were good. I lost my passion. Once dad died, I had no one else to play for. I definitely wasn't playing for myself." Acerbi's performances caught the eye of AC Milan quite quickly, and with Nesta leaving in 2012, Acerbi was seen as the next in line to be at the heart of their defense for years to come. This was a huge move for him, given he grew up supporting AC Milan, a dream come true, surely. However, prior to joining AC Milan and following the death of his father, Acerbi fell into a deep depression and felt like he lacked direction when it came to football. When you're depressed, it's difficult to know what to do to get better, especially when there was still a stigma surrounding mental health back at this time, that depression or anxiety was somewhat of a weakness for football players. Thankfully, there's been a massive change there, both in the public, amongst civilians like you and I, and amongst professionals, and people are getting the treatment that they need. But back then, Acerbi turned to alcohol. As he told La Gazzetta dello Sport in 2019, quote, "After his death, I felt empty and football was meaningless. From there, it all went downhill. I was arrogant, the others were not good enough, I hit rock bottom, I started drinking, and believe me, I'd drink anything." Speaking in a separate interview, Acerbi said, quote, "I lacked motivation, I didn't know what to do anymore, and I drank." Now, Milan apparently knew of his issues, which is why they got him a flat close to the training grounds. But depression plus addiction is one hell of a monster to fight, and Acerbi would still go out, sometimes arriving at training still intoxicated. He says that he had no respect for anyone or anything, none for his teammates, the club, and certainly none for himself. Because of this, he was loaned back to Chievo in the second half of the 2012-13 season, meaning he lasted just a few months with AC Milan. The next summer, he was sold to Sassuolo. And this is where things got a bit scary. As if his recent struggles with depression and alcohol weren't enough, during a preseason medical, unusual results from his blood tests ultimately led to Acerbi being diagnosed with testicular cancer. Thankfully, it was caught early, and after a surgery to remove the mass, he was cleared to play again, taking part in 13 matches leading up to December 2013. In that month, it was revealed that Acerbi had failed a routine doping test as his hormone levels were unusually high. The Italian Olympic Committee, which takes control of the anti-doping testing and punishments, banned Acerbi for 2 years. But following more testing, the raised hormone levels were actually caused by the return of cancer once again. And in January of 2014, Acerbi's name was cleared. However, this time, a surgery wasn't enough to rid him of his cancer, and so Acerbi underwent chemotherapy from January 7th to March 14th of 2014. Despite this being a horrible thing to have to go through, Acerbi actually sees it in a different light, saying in 2019, quote, "It might seem like a terrible paradox, but the cancer saved me. I had something new to fight against, a limit to overcome. It was as if I got to start life all over again and saw the world in a way I'd completely forgotten. While I was alone in my bed, I thought a lot about the meaning of life. I developed a furious desire to come back and play again." And he did so, not in that same season, given the effects chemotherapy has on people, the debilitating effects, but in the 2014-15 season, he made his return to Sassuolo, and after a cautious reintegration, became a starting centre back again, and even got a call-up to the Italian national team. Not only had he returned to football, but his appetite to play had returned thanks to regular check-ins with a psychiatrist, as well as taking the utmost care of his body going forward. So let's recap. After finally making it into the top flight, his father passed away, leaving him feeling like his career was drifting aimlessly, even though he got a dream move to AC Milan. Due to the loss of his father, he began drinking, losing his opportunity at the club he supported as a boy, then getting testicular cancer, then a 2-year ban, which was thankfully overturned immediately because his cancer returned. That's a sequence of events that would test even the sturdiest and most strong-willed of people. But, as he said, it propelled him to new heights. Call-ups to the Italian national team, becoming a mainstay in Serie A for numerous clubs, winning silverware, and going on a run from 2015 to 2019 in which Acerbi didn't miss a single Serie A match. 149 matches consecutively, without injury or suspension, until it was stopped due to a bogus red card.
And Acerbi has been sent off.
I mean, that referee even apologized to him for getting it wrong. He was just 13 matches short of Zanetti's record of 162. And when his career seemed to be taking a dip, he joined Zanetti's former club and has helped them to make 2 Champions League finals in 3 years, as well as winning numerous titles along the way. I mean, put me on the spot, and it's difficult to think of a more inspiring story when it comes to taking on hardships head on, or better lessons in taking everything, even the negatives, as an opportunity to grow, as he has done throughout his career. Now he gets a chance at redemption during the Champions League final against PSG, which will be tough, but I mean, previewing that will be an entirely different video. I want to thank you for watching this video as always, and I'll have another video for you in a couple of days. All right? Thanks, guys. Be well.